Welcome back to another episode of Avoid the Tyre Wall Podcast. Today we welcome Formula 4 driver for JHR Development, Joseph. Joseph, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Joseph Loake. I'm 16 years old, and like you said before, racing in British F4 with JHR Developments.
When you were younger, did you always want to be a racing driver?
I actually didn't. I used to be a footballer. I just played for the local team just for a bit of fun, and then I'd go to a local karting track for a bit of fun with my dad, and then I just started having a lot more fun, and then we saw at the high school I went to, All Hallows, ran a karting club, and we joined that, and I just had a lot of fun. Just did karting for a bit of fun, but then I started to want to take it more seriously. So we moved to Fiesta Junior for the last 2 years. Obviously, won the championship last year, and then took quite a big step up into F4 this year. So no, I wasn't really an aspiring driver for that long. I've only really been racing since I was probably 10, I want to say. So I was quite a late starter, to be fair, compared to most. But yeah, I think from the first time I sat in a kart, I definitely wanted to be a racing driver.
Question is the best moment of your career so far?
There's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows, to be honest. Probably Fiesta Junior last year, winning the championship was obviously a high. I think winning any championship is obviously going to be one of the best moments, because it just shows all the hard work that you've put into the year has all paid off. So yeah, I'd probably say winning the championship.
One of your toughest challenges that you have faced so far?
Probably got to be the adaptation from Fiesta Junior to F4, with the change of driving style I've had to make. It's been a big change, and I'm still getting used to it now. I mean, it probably doesn't look like that from the outside, obviously having such a good weekend at Thruxton, but I'm definitely not where I want to be. There's still so much more for me to learn, and I'm definitely not at the potential that I can have in the championship. And I think that's what's making it even more exciting, knowing that there's so much more that I can achieve just after the first round. And it can only really get better. So it should be an exciting year on the whole.
How much time per week do you reckon you spend working out, like training and stuff, if you have to do it?
Definitely a different question. I've not heard that one before. I don't do that much as what you would expect. I do 1 or 2 full workouts a week, really. The rest is mostly dietary stuff. So just making sure I'm eating the right things and just making sure that I'm ready for the next race, just focusing on that, really. Obviously, I need to make sure if I'm not putting on so much muscle that I'm then overweight or anything as well, because there's quite a strict weight that we have to stick to, things like that. So but yeah, I'm at the strength that I need to be, so I don't see the point in building muscle upon muscle when it's just completely unnecessary.
Who is your hero?
Probably, well, there's 2 people I look up to at the moment. The first one's Ayrton Senna, because in my opinion, he was the greatest driver of all time. And I think it was such a shame that he was taken from us so early, because he could have achieved so much, and, be on the level of the likes of Hamilton and Schumacher. But then modern day, in terms of an inspiration, I think Max Verstappen is actually a really good person to look up to, with the aggression he shows on track, but also not necessarily in past years, but kind of this year he's shown a lot more maturity as well, which is I feel like he's genuinely one of the best drivers on the grid, if not the best. So I think there's no better person to look up to than the person who's bossing it, really.
Yeah, Esther's Dutch, so Very
Dutch.
excitable.
So that's the right answer to give. That's the best answer you can give.
Yeah.
If you could race any racetrack in the world, what would it be and why?
Probably Imola is the one that springs out to me. It just looks like such a fun track with all of the elevation change and the high speed corners. It just looks like a track that not only I would be really nice to drive, but I think it would actually suit me quite a lot as well. So if I get the opportunity to race there at some point in the future, I'd definitely take it with both hands.
Do you think that you like race aggressively when you like race? Or why would you race aggressively when you're not racing? Great.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm the most aggressive on the grid. I would say I'm probably just one of the smartest, to be honest. I think you can be as aggressive as you want, but if you're not smart with the aggression, it's completely pointless anyway. So I'd much rather have kind of like let's say a 50% aggression. Obviously it doesn't work like that, but I'd much rather be half as aggressive as someone, but be twice as smart with it than just not being smart with the aggression and just going all out, because that's when the incidents are caused and you end up taking yourself or someone else out of a race. So I don't see the point in being too aggressive. Obviously aggression's needed, otherwise you're just going to be bullied out the way. But I'd probably say I'm kind of in the middle.
Obviously you've got Snetterton coming up next weekend.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What are you feeling towards that race? Like excitement and like what types of preparations are you been going through in order to prepare for that race?
Yeah, so I think my preparation probably started just after Thruxton, to be fair, because it had been such a hectic 3 months getting myself ready for the season, and it was literally non-stop, just constant testing. I don't think we really had time to kind of reflect on what had actually happened over the last few months. But also we just needed time for a rest. So I spent a few weeks. I think it was probably this week has been when I've started building myself back up. But I just took a couple of weeks off, just almost spending normal life again and just, spending time with my friends, going into town, just doing what every other person would do and just kind of relaxing a lot more. Just kind of taking my mind away from racing, because obviously it consumes my life so much. I don't get that time with family that I used to. So, but yeah, in the build up, just focusing that I'm eating the right things, making sure that I'm mentally prepared, going through footage from past races. I've done a few tests at Snetterton as well. I wouldn't probably say it's my strongest track, but with the medium speed corners, I've been struggling a bit in testing, but we'll see what happens at the race weekend. Everything that goes on in testing is just testing. We get to a race, it's a completely different environment. So yeah, I've no expectations really. Just have some fun and see where we end up at the end of it.
I was watching the racing from Thruxton a couple of weeks ago, and there was the rather impressive crash where the one driver took out 5 other drivers. I think it was 4 other drivers. Were you involved in that crash? I can't quite remember.
No, so that was in the 3rd race. So I was actually leading at the time. Yeah. So I think James Headley went for a move around the outside. He got it a bit wrong and then bounced over the curb and then hit someone else, and then that kind of spun back onto the track and just collected a load of cars. So it wasn't really anything malicious. I think it's just one of those racing incidents where just a bit of contact happens from time to time, and sometimes things don't go that well. But obviously all of them got their cars back out on track for the restart, so that was quite good to see.
It was a very impressive crash. They just kept showing replays of it, and I was like, oh, it was him.
Yeah, it was just constantly just car after car just going into each other. It was quite funny to watch on the replays. It's nicer to know that you weren't involved in it as well.
Yeah. What's your hopes for the future?
I think most people in my shoes have probably got their eye on kind of like Formula One and things like that. I think, most people want to get to Formula One. That's definitely what I want to do. But it's not all about being the best driver. That's just the way that motorsport is at the moment. You need money to start with. If you don't have the budget to race, then you can't. So you either have to be lucky with right time, right place, right time, really, or you have to have the right budget for those sort of races. But we've literally thrown all of our budget at this year. So, we have this year, and if we don't get anywhere or get sponsorship or don't get picked up by anyone, then that's basically it for us. We don't really have another option. We don't have enough money for another year. So, but that's the struggles that everyone goes through at this level. And even F3 and F2, people just struggle to find the budgets, and motorsport is a business at the end of the day. So,
do you find it difficult to reach out to sponsors, or do you think sponsors will go for say Mick Schumacher? He'd got his father's name on him, so do you reckon they'd go towards the proper say Juan Manuel Fangio was my great whatever grandfather, and I'd got Fangio as one of my last names. Obviously, he's not my great whatever grandfather. But do you reckon they would lean more towards somebody who's got racing background? I was I don't know if you've got racing background, but
no, I don't. No, I know what you mean. Having that sort of prestigious name behind you will help a lot. Obviously, with Mick Schumacher, like you said, he's got his dad's name, and obviously because Michael Schumacher is the greatest of all time. It's statistically, obviously. I think it would be so much easier for people like Mick to get into F1. Obviously, it brings so much publicity, and sponsors will go for people like that because, let's say you're just a normal person that doesn't know anything about motorsport or anything. You've probably heard of the name Michael Schumacher. And if you were to say to someone that might know the Schumacher name, just say, this is Mick Schumacher, he does such and such, they'll probably be interested just because of the name. So it does definitely attract people. It's not saying that it's I'm not saying it's easy for people like him. It would have been pretty easy for him to, if he's not a good driver, he's not going to get there. So you do also have to have the talent, but it's just having the combination of the two that gives you the opportunity of kind of the higher ranks.
What different emotions have you experienced over the course of your career so far?
Pretty much every single one. It's constant, and it's an emotional roller coaster. I was saying earlier, there's so many highs and so many lows that you just have to focus on what the job at hand is. Really, you can't really dwell on what's happened. I've had things in the past that have happened to me in racing that haven't gone my way, but then there's also been things that have. So things happen. You just have to move on from them, deal with them the best you can. But you go through anger, sadness, happiness, excitement, everything. And sometimes it can be within the space of 5 seconds in motorsport.
Since we're in a corona crisis, did anything change for you with training or driving?
Obviously, it. Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. So, in terms of fitness and stuff, obviously the gyms were shut, so it meant that we couldn't do any fitness in terms of gym. But I obviously have my home stuff. Just down there, actually, I have all of my weights and stuff that I use. I was still able to keep on fitness. I was nowhere near as fit as what I am now in terms of training, because really Fiestas wasn't that big at the time. So, and this year everything's back to normal pretty much. So, but I've got that used to doing all of my training at home that I actually haven't been to a gym for probably over a year now. Because I can do it all from home. You know, I do FaceTime calls with my personal trainer and we'll just do the sessions that way. So I think it did change the way that I did things, but I actually probably prefer it now than what I did before. So obviously with COVID being so bad and stuff, and it is horrible to see all of the what's happening with it, things like that. It's probably actually helped me in a way in terms of motorsport, because it's kind of shown me what's important to me as well.
In terms of the types of fitness things you have to do, like there must be like a program you have set in place for like set days doing set things. Like I know with my rugby, like they give us a set program. Like one day it might be doing like weight training, the other it might be like something like cardiovascular fitness and things like that. Is yours like similar to that? Is it like set days for set things?
Yeah, I know what you're on about, and I know a lot of people do that. We all have different ways of doing things. The team have recommended many things to me and just basically said whatever works for you is what you can do. So when I was really working on fitness in the build up to the season, I had a proper routine. I was doing 3 5K runs per week, weight training every other day. So it was pretty full on. But unfortunately, because I went so full on so quickly, I actually ended up with a stress fracture in my foot, funnily enough. So I ended up ruining all of the progress. But yeah, I don't actually have that much, like I said earlier, I don't do too much fitness stuff now. It's more just maintaining what I already have from what I've built on over the winter. And then the rest is just dietary stuff. So making sure that I stick to my diet where possible. With COVID, it has made it tricky to stick to diets with when I'm constantly at hotels, traveling everywhere. But yeah, when I'm at home, I'll try and stick to my diet. The diet I used was a low carb diet. So I restricted my carbohydrate intake, which worked wonders for me. But yeah, I think I don't really stick to too much fitness stuff, but it is mostly just dietary at the moment.
Do you think you'll ever be able to put into like words the feeling of like winning? Because you won in your first weekend, didn't you? I totally just didn't look at your Instagram to find that. But yeah, like, do you think you'll ever be able to put into words what winning feels like?
No. It's you can't explain it. It's such a unique feeling, and you kind of have to experience it to know what it feels like. You know, it's just a mixture of every emotion you could physically feel. To be fair, I couldn't contain myself after, and it took me about a week for me to realize what had actually happened, because I don't know how many people have actually won in their debut weekend, if any. So it's still something I need to chase up on. But yeah, it was just so unexpected. You know, going into that weekend, I said if I was in the top 10, I'd be happy. So to come out with a win, it was just not expected, and you know, to come out third in the championship as well. After it was just not expected in the slightest.
I think it's Abby Pulling on your team.
Yeah, she's my teammate. Yeah.
Oh. Like, do you think that it's good that they've got like female representation? Can't speak about it. Do you think it's good they've got like female representation? And would you like to see maybe more girls or like young women competing for like the junior series?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's good for the sport to have females in motorsport. You know, the W Series is a great series to promote female drivers, but I just think because motorsport's such a male-dominated sport, I think it's quite sad to see so many women almost being pushed away from it. And, you know, there's so many young girls that see little carts going around tracks and they want to have a go themselves. And their parents will just say, no, you should be playing with dolls and stuff. And I just don't think that's right. And, you know, it's nice to see people like Abby, you know, chasing their actual dreams and, you know, doing what they love, which is racing. And it is just such a nice thing to see that there is a lot more female drivers than what there were, let's say 20 years ago. So yeah, I think it's really good for the sport, and it's really good for publicity as well for the team. Like you touched on, yeah, I think the team gets unbelievable publicity about it. And with Abby being such a big winner in karting as well, she was the top of the UK in karting, so she's unbelievably talented. And for her to be female, it almost just promotes females in sport in general, I guess, as well.
You have to pay to go into like the junior series, and I would have loved to go into it, but I am like an old person now. So do you think it should be like more low budget friendly for, like, say, I don't know, look at Lance Stroll, his dad's worth 2 billion or 2 billion or something.
Yeah.
So do you think it should be like more budget friendly?
Yeah. It's the worst thing about motorsport. It's an amazing sport, the fact that you can drive a car at its limits around a track, but the fact that is literally all you're doing, basically. You're just putting a car on a track and going around in circles a load. And the fact that can cost, for some people, it can cost 5 years of their 5 years of work, not having to pay for any bills or anything. You'd have to save up for 5 years with no extra costs, and you could do one season. It is genuinely, it's the worst thing about motorsport. You know, you have to be in such a privileged place to be able to do it, which is why I'm so grateful for being where I am now. You know, obviously I wouldn't be here without my mum or my dad. So, you know, I all I can do is be grateful and, you know, take it, you know, make the most out of it, really. And if I get to where I want to get to, which is F1, then that will be amazing. But, you know, even if we don't get there, I'll still be grateful for having the opportunity to drive such amazing cars around, you know, some of the most historic circuits in the UK. So yeah, you just have to appreciate where you are instead of kind of worrying too much about that sort of thing as a driver. But yeah, it's so expensive in motorsport. Even to just get karting, you can be spending easily £100,000 over the course of a year on just a kart, never mind kind of cars and stuff. So yeah, it's not right. And I think Lewis Hamilton's a really big advocate for trying to get a lot more budget friendly. But yeah, if I can get to a place where I can make an influence on motorsport as a whole, then I definitely will. That'll be one of the first things I try and do, just try and bring the cost down and just make it so much more accessible. Because I just don't think it's right how it is at the moment in terms of the money aspect.
I was looking at Ginetta because it was with the feature of the BTCC. Quite impressed I said that first attempt. But it said something like £60,000 just for the car, and then £30,000 entry fees on top of that. And am I right in saying you have to pay for any damage that gets happened to the car? Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah.
That's English.
Yeah, that's correct. I think Ginetta is probably one of the worst there is in terms of the money and because the parts that they use to build the cars are so fragile. You know, you literally cannot make any piece of contact. You know, the front bonnet is worth £2,000 or something, just the bonnet. So, and because it's fiberglass, it's probably just as fragile as a front wing in F1 or something. You know, you touch it and it's gone. You can't fix it. And then that's £2,000 down the pot. So it's the amount of money it cost for Ginetta. That was why we never did it. And then we did Fiestas, because a Fiesta is a normal road car turned into a race car. So the parts are easy to get hold of, and they don't have to be built for it. You can just get any old ones off eBay and chuck them on. But it's so expensive, and like the car's 60,000 before you've even got started, and that's just crazy to think of in itself.
What's it like traveling about like quite a lot to different races, and like is it nice to see different areas that like you might not have seen before?
Yeah, it is nice. That Knock Hill's one that stands out in terms of the scenery and stuff. It is quite nice. For the actual race weekend, I'm actually going down a couple of days before and just spending a bit of time in Scotland because it's so scenic and things like that. And it is quite nice to just look around and kind of, at the end of the day, we are traveling around the whole of the UK, like you said. So it's quite nice to have the opportunity to look around and see places that maybe I wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for racing. So, it is weird being away from home quite a lot, and obviously staying away from my friends and family, things like that. But I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. If it means that I get to race, and then I'd be quite happy with that.
What's the worst thing about like traveling? What's like the worst thing you miss from home? That's
my dog. Yeah, it's got to be my dog. Over lockdown and stuff, when we weren't doing anything, I was going through quite a tricky time. My parents, I don't really tell many people, but my parents were divorced a few years ago, and it's been constant back and two arguments, things like that. And I found it really tricky because it felt like I was in the middle. So I formed such a close relationship with my dog Rafa. She's like my sister almost, and we just take care of each other almost. And it is really hard being away from her when we can't bring her with us. So it is hard being away from her so much. But also we do have a place that we can that looks after her, and she gets on really well with all the dogs that are there. And we know that she's happy when we're not there, but it's just tricky being away from her for such a long time.
If you could like drive for any one team, what team would you drive for?
In terms of what, like which championship, or in general?
Go maybe from like F3 up to F1.
That's a tricky one. I think probably, well, I don't know. In terms of if it was just the name and just the team, I'd have to say Ferrari because they're the most prestigious and stuff. But then if you were to look at what surrounding I'd have within the team, it would be probably McLaren or something. I think all the teams are best in their own ways, really. So it's quite hard to kind of say which one is best, kind of, if you get what I mean. So, yeah.
If you could own a race team, what would you call it?
I could own a race. I don't know. I'd probably be really uncreative and just come up with like Loake Racing or something. I'm not very creative with that sort of stuff, so I'd probably just whatever came to my mind over my team.
Sorry, Megan's being a weirdo. Megan's called our race team Tegan and Megan Limited.
Right.
I would call it Crumpets Racing because that's my last name. Crump, not Crumpets. I've got tracks printed out, and we're going to ask you like general knowledge questions. And if you can, you've got to try and answer the questions and then name the track. And you've got to beat 3. That is what the other person that we interviewed got.
Right, okay. I'm sure I'll get the gist.
It's about Formula One.
And there's actually F4 tracks. I pirated them off the internet.
Get in. I should know them then.
Which is the longest British F4 circuit?
Oh no. I'm going to say Snetterton.
Correct.
Yes.
At
Get in.
2.97 miles.
I was going to have
Yeah.
to come and hit you if you got that one wrong.
I didn't know. I just had to think of which one took the longest to get round. Oh no! This is right. Okay.
Which record does Nico Hulkenberg hold?
Oh no.
As of December 2021. Oh no, sorry, December 2020.
I don't know.
I've lost it. Where the most F1 career starts without a podium finish at 179. Said that well strange. Well, strange. In 1971, which team did Bernie Eccleston buy? I don't think any of us were born then, but
Wait, what year?
71.
I'm asking who was born in 2004. So.
I was born in 2006.
I was 2005, so.
That's not in the centre.
Oh,
Now, out
I
of
was
you
minus
all,
35. It's great.
well, this was on that F1 video, wasn't it, the other day?
Grill the grid.
Yeah.
Quality that. Ooh.
That was
I think
hilarious.
was it not? Oh well, in that case, I won't have a clue.
Brabham.
Wasn't it? I'll use that in an interview somewhere. I'll just randomly blurt that out and see what they say.
At the 2008 Turkish Grand Prix, which record did Rubens Barrichello break? This is such a random question. Big up Google.
I've got the answers to these.
I think it's been broken now.
I'm trying to think. I actually don't know any of these. He had. I don't know. I'm not good at this, am I?
The most race starts, and big man Kimi Räikkönen has now broken that, I believe.
I should have known that, really, shouldn't I? Oh no.
Big up Google and this dodgy looking site. How many race wins has Charles Leclerc had, and where were they?
Right. I think it's 7. Is it
That's
7?
False.
Oh. Right. So he won in Monza. He won in. Where else did he win?
We're all counting on it.
Oh, right. Is it 3? No. I'm just going to say a load of numbers. 2.
Well, you got
I don't know.
Monza
You have a
Park.
track.
Yeah.
Say
What?
it, whatever.
It wasn't 3.
Which 3 races make up the Triple Crown of Motorsport? Hint, 2 of them aren't F1.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there's Indy 500. There's Le Mans. And then I don't know. I was just winning the championship in F1, but I'm obviously wrong. Monaco.
Yay!
If I got that wrong, I may as well just leave.
Who is the only driver to ever win the Triple Crown of Motorsport?
Alonso.
Me.
It's Alonso, isn't it?
And Graham Hill. I don't normally
Really?
speak like that.
Was he not a lot? Oh. Right, I'm struggling here.
Has Alonso ever won the Monaco?
I thought he had. I thought he did it when he was in the
let's
Renault.
Google. On it. I don't.
I know he's won Le Mans. I don't even know if he's won Indy 500. I just randomly
I
said
think
Alonso.
he's won 2 of them. He hasn't. Yeah, he's only won 2 of them.
Right.
I forgot which question was asked. Who did Jenson Button win his 2009 title with?
Rubens Barrichello.
No, I mean the constructor.
Oh, Braun GP.
Yay! You got that one
I
right.
know that one. I know
How many
that one.
questions do we have left, if anybody's been counting?
It's just the picture one.
Oof. I've got to choose a good one because I've got a selection. What's this one? You can literally read. I need to get a pencil. I'm going to find a pencil and then scribble out where it says it in the corner.
So Fernando Alonso is the only active driver to have won 2 of the 3 events.
Oh,
Right,
which one's he
so-
lacking on?
What?
Which
Is
one's
it
he
Indy?
lacking on?
I don't think he's won Indy. But
Sorry, you're just going to win me with pencil. Oh, it's not flipping rubbing it out.
The Endurance Championship, the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Camera's wiggling.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's done the Indy 500 one.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
lacking.
Not good
Google's
enough.
the best friend here.
he'll probably do it at some point.
Can you identify? Obviously, the printing is absolutely crap. My printer gave up on me.
Yeah.
I'm covering where it says it in the bottom left corner.
This is going to be really bad if I don't get this. Oh, no. Alton Park.
Yes!
Knew you
Sorry,
would
that was quite loud.
I didn't even have to look.
Yeah. I was trying to go through all the F1 tracks for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it said it in the bottom left corner. I thought I'd cropped it out enough, but apparently not. Got to write. What's Joseph's score? I need to put this in my notes.
4.5.
You beat Becca by 1.5 points. How do you feel?
I feel elated.
Well done.
Thank you.
You've just won today's quiz round.
That's the greatest achievement I've ever done.
Yeah, it trumps winning any championship ever.
Yeah.
We'll create you a special trophy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be in the post.
Much deserved.
I mean, I could set you an empty sweet wrapper. Would that help?
You can
Look at
keep it.
You're topping the timing tables.
Get in. That's what we like to see.
Do you have
Do you reckon we can like
questions
crop out the other answers that I got wrong and then we can just pretend I got them right?
Yeah, totally. That concludes another episode of the Avoid the Tyre Wall podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to leave suggestions of who you would like as guests, and follow us on all social medias at Avoid the Tyre Wall for Instagram and TikTok, and at Avoid the Tyre WA1 on Twitter. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.